Chapter 81 Your Majesty, do you believe me when I say this is a misunderstanding? You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the other side of the star Do Great Forest's core, under the dark, windy night and a sliver of a moon, a group of figures raced from the inner depths towards the heart of the forest, but when they reached the edge of the Lake of Life, it was deserted. Neither the azure bull python, nor the titan giant ape, the forest's king, were there, nor was the 100,000-year-old soft-bone rabbit and her daughter. Bibi Dong's face darkened. What the hell? Nothing here. She spat out, furious. She'd spent months prepping to hunt that 200,000-year-old soft-bone rabbit, crafting a meticulous plan, capture a 10,000-year-old soul beast near the core, then torture it to lure out the soft-bone rabbit's protective instincts. If only the rabbit showed, they'd strike. If the azure bull python, the titan giant ape, and the other 100,000-year-old soft-bone rabbit showed up, they'd adapt, but even after nearly torturing a 10,000-year-old holy magic ape to death, the 200,000-year-old rabbit hadn't taken the bait, unsettling her. Killing the ape had yielded a 10,000-year-old soul bone, but that was peanuts compared to the 100,000-year soul ring and bone she craved. So, under cover of darkness, Bibi Dong had led a group of Spirit Hall soul masters to the core, only to find, nothing. Was her luck really that bad? Had the rabbit family just packed up with the python and ape and moved? The thought that a traitor might have tipped off the 100,000-year-old soul beasts briefly crossed her mind, but she dismissed it as absurd. Humans and soul beasts were enemies. Why would a soul beast trust a human enough to believe a warning? Empty-handed and seething, Bibi Dong prepared to head back to Wuhuan City. As Pope of the Spirit Hall, she couldn't afford to waste time camping out in the forest for a rabbit family. The next day, after a night with ZG, Gu Han woke up to find her lying in his arms, purple hair tousled, eyes closed, tears on her face, a picture of cold, pitiful beauty. He groaned inwardly. What had he been thinking? He wanted to punch himself. He'd dreamt of 3 wives and 4 concubines, sure, but his first time was supposed to be with his beloved Shuer, or at least Gu Yuna or his senior sister, Hulaina. YZG. He was kicking himself. He knew some stories dismissed aphrodisiacs as not poison, theoretically outside the realm of negative conditions. But he figured the rules-based nature of Douluo Continent soul skills meant his golden tyrant dragon transformation's immunity to negative conditions should include the aphrodisiac effect of whale glue. Guess not. He felt a stir in his arms. You're awake. Scratching his head, he said, ZG, I'm sorry. Last night was my fault. But don't worry, I'll take responsibility for you. He meant it. ZG stared at him, her expression complex, a hint of something unreadable in her purple eyes. Finally, she said coolly, no. As long as you can help the master heal, that's enough. But her eyes betrayed her words. She got up, but a sharp pain shot through her body. Her legs buckled, and she nearly fell, but Gu Han caught her. You okay? Remembering how rough he'd been, Gu Han blushed. I'm fine, she said, a flicker of shame crossing her face. After a moment, she found her footing. By morning, ZG's fierce beast constitution had largely recovered. Gu Han had prepped the detoxification herbs, so he planned to head to Tiendo Imperial City to find someone to make the pills. As they headed to the cafeteria for breakfast, then towards the marble square by the door to leave the academy, a green-robed, gray-haired middle-aged man with a decidedly evil air suddenly appeared, blocking their path. You're Gu Han. Dugu Bo spotted ZG behind Gu Han, noticing her slightly unsteady gait and the seductive look on her face. Gu Han was up to no good. This kid was a player, and he was playing with Yin-Yang's feelings. If he hadn't been vigilant, Yin-Yang would have been heartbroken. He might fool Yin-Yang, but he wasn't fooling Dugu Bo. He planned to teach Gu Han a lesson he wouldn't forget, ensuring he stayed far away from his granddaughter, Dugu Yen. You're the one who hurt Yin-Yang yesterday. Dugu Bo roared, cutting Gu Han off. Hurt my granddaughter, will you? Today, you pay. He unleashed a wave of soul power and lunged at Gu Han. Dugu Bo. Gu Han was stunned. He hadn't seen him at the Dugu mansion yesterday, assuming he was in seclusion at the Yin-Yang eyes of ice and fire. Apparently not. Looking for a death wish, despite the awkwardness of the previous night, ZG couldn't let this slide. Whether it was because of her master Gu Yunna's orders to protect Gu Han, or the unexpected feelings that had blossomed, she wouldn't stand by and watch him get bullied. Her face freezing over, she cried out, her body rippling with even more terrifying soul power. What? Douluo Bo sensed the tidal Douluo level power radiating from her, his face drained of color. He was seized by panic. A tidal Douluo? But wasn't this woman Gu Han's maid? How could she be a tidal Douluo? Terror gripping him, he summoned the green phosphorus Snake King, activating his fifth soul skill, Snake Python Tiangang Shield, but ZG only sneered, leaping forward and slashing her hand. A powerful soul force coalesced into a purple dragon claw, crushing the shield and sending Douluo Bo flying in a spray of blood. He skidded across the ground, slamming into a tree before finally stopping, coughing up blood. Every bone in his body felt broken. He struggled to his feet, a cold sweat breaking out on his forehead. Seeing ZG approaching, her face like ice, Douluo Bo forced a weak smile, clutching his chest and spitting out more blood. "Your Majesty," he croaked, "if I said this was all a misunderstanding, would you believe me?" Chapter 82. This guy is not Huangmao, he is obviously my good grandson-in-law. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Misunderstand. ZG's lips, a vibrant purple, curled into a sneer on her otherwise stunningly cold face. A flash of dark power sparked in her deep purple eyes. Her voice dripped with indifference, and a palpable wave of soul energy and pressure radiated from her tall, curvaceous figure. She clearly wasn't buying the misunderstanding angle. How dare anyone attack someone the Lord had entrusted to her protection? Especially since that someone was her man. She wasn't about to stop and ask questions before throwing down. Now that she'd made a move, this person suddenly wanted to claim that it was a misunderstanding, or that she wasn't a match. Did he think she was an idiot? Just as ZG prepared to continue her assault and teach Douluo Bo a lesson, Gu Han suddenly called out, "Wait!" ZG turned, her eyebrows furrowed. Her beautiful face registered her confusion. She didn't understand why Gu Han was stopping her. "It is a misunderstanding." Gu Han stepped forward, a faint smile playing on his lips. He was planning to bring Douluo Bo over to his side. Anyway, Douluo Bo had attacked him, but ZG had already intervened. Beating Douluo Bo again wouldn't achieve anything beyond escalating the animosity. It was better to use this as an opportunity to gain some favor. Douluo Bo visibly relaxed when he heard Gu Han calling it a misunderstanding. He couldn't help but think more highly of his granddaughter Duguian's yellow-haired classmate. "Sir, are you Duguian's grandfather?" Gu Han asked with a smile. "The injury to Duguian's leg is related to me, but I definitely didn't cause it. We had a little misunderstanding at first, but we cleared it up pretty quickly and actually became friends. When I took Duguian home, I realized your family seemed to have a genetic condition called biphosphorus poison. I've done a fair amount of research in pharmacology. I came across biphosphorus poison in some old books and found a possible treatment. I was actually planning to help your family deal with it. But you, sir, just jumped to conclusions and tried to kill me without any investigation. To be honest, it's a little disheartening." Gu Han shook his head, a picture of regret. He made it sound as if he was having second thoughts about helping the Douluo family with their poison. What? Douluo Bo's expression shifted, disbelief flooding his features. This kid was claiming he could cure biphosphorus poison. Douluo Bo's first instinct was to dismiss it out of hand, but considering Gu Han was accompanied by a tidal Douluo, he clearly came from a powerful background. Finding a treatment for biphosphorus poison wasn't entirely impossible. More importantly, Douluo Bo didn't think Gu Han had any reason to lie. He had initially thought his granddaughter had brought home some punk. But after talking to her classmates at the Tiando Royal Academy, he'd learned that Gu Han was a 9-year-old soul sect, a certified genius. In terms of cultivation, it wasn't that Gu Han wasn't good enough for his granddaughter, it was the other way around. And now, having discovered that Gu Han was protected by ZG, a tidal Douluo, even more so, if Gu Han could actually cure their families by phosphorus poison, this wasn't just some yellow-haired kid, this was Douluo Bo's future grandson-in-law. Gu Han, Mr. Gu Han, is what you're saying true? Can you really cure our families by phosphorus poison? Douluo asked eagerly, barely able to contain his excitement. Of course. But your behavior earlier was, to say the least, disappointing. Gu Han smiled confidently, but then sighed, shaking his head again. Douluo was clearly getting anxious, he was regretting his earlier impulsiveness, his snap judgment of Gu Han. He had come down hard without even trying to find out the facts, now look where it had gotten him, his son was suffering from the agonizing effects of the biphosphorus poison, and wasn't going to last much longer. The thought of his terminally ill son and the future of his family brought a lump to his throat. He knelt down in front of Gu Han, choking with regret. Master Gu Han, it's all my fault. If you can cure biphosphorus poison, please help our Douluo family. As long as you can help us, we'll serve you as our master, and we'll go through fire and water for you, no matter what, Douluo pledged. Senior Douluo, please, get up. Gu Han saw how much his words were affecting Douluo, driving him to apologize so profusely and even offer servitude as payment for a cure. He smiled and quickly helped the old man to his feet. Today really was a misunderstanding. Senior Douluo, don't worry. I will help treat the biphosphorus poison in your family. I've actually gathered enough medicinal ingredients to refine the antidote, but I haven't found a suitable place to brew it yet. A place to make medicine, Douluo perked up immediately. I know the perfect place around here. If you don't mind, I can take you there. Great, Gu Han was surprised to learn that Douluo knew of such a place. If he had to find a location in Tiando Imperial City, it would have taken him a long time. Taking ZG with him, Douluo led them away from the Tiando Royal Academy and toward the Sunset Forest. They arrived at the base of a mountain shrouded in thick white fog. Sir, it's up there. Douluo said respectfully, hope shining in his eyes. The three climbed up the nearly vertical cliffs and arrived at a small valley at the summit. Vegetation flourished here, a sea of green surrounded by the thick white fog. Faintly, red and blue light pulsed from the depths of the mist. Gu Han knew what it was, the ice and fire Yin-Yang well. Before entering the Sunset Forest, Gu Han hadn't imagined that the good place to refine medicine that Douluo had mentioned would be the Yin-Yang well, but thinking it over, it made sense. The heat from the extremely hot spring was more intense than high-quality flames, providing more even heating for the alchemic furnace. It was, in fact, an ideal location. He had finally arrived at the Yin-Yang well that he wanted to claim. Thinking of the well's importance to the story of Douluo Continent, if he intercepted it, it would have a significant impact on the plot and destiny of the world, which would undoubtedly net him a boatload of Tianyan points. Gu Han couldn't help but feel excited. He opened the Tianyan system panel. After his spirit Wuhuan dragon had evolved into the golden dragon, he'd had only one Tianyan point left. Now, he had a full 27. But after asking the system, Gu Han learned that 11 of those points had been earned last night, so he had gained only 15 Tianyan points for subduing Douluo. 11 points last night. Gu Han understood immediately. His ruthless master, Bibi Dong, must have finally taken Uncle Yu and Uncle Gui, along with other spirit hall masters, to the Star Do Great Forest to hunt Xiao Wu's family yesterday, but it seemed that, thanks to his influence, they had failed. Chapter 83 I want to open the alchemy path in this world. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the valley, blanketed by a thick white fog, red and ice blue lights shimmered. Young master, this way, please. Douluo said, having reached the valley where the Yin-Yang Eye of Ice and Fire was located. Douluo led Gu Han and ZG into the misty depths. After a short walk, an extraordinary hot spring pool caught Gu Han's attention. It was clearly a masterpiece of nature, half red, half ice blue. It was divided like a Tai Chi symbol, the distinction razor-sharp. The red, scorching hot Yang spring released waves of heat, while the icy cold Yin spring emitted a frigid air. As the hot and cold air currents rose, they collided in the air, instantly transforming into the thick white fog that shrouded the valley. This was the source of the pervasive mist surrounding the Yin-Yang Eye of Ice and Fire. Even ZG's deep purple eyes widened in astonishment at the sight of the Yin-Yang Eye. She found it hard to believe that such a strange landscape could exist. After a brief glance at the Yin-Yang Eye of Ice and Fire, Gu Han's gaze quickly shifted to the rare and ancient spiritual medicines scattered around, and the even rarer immortal herbs growing nearby. Among these, two peculiar plants closest to the Yin-Yang immediately stood out. One was entirely ice blue, as clear and crystalline as ice, with snowflake-shaped, octagonal flowers that radiated a chilling cold. The other was fire red, adorned with golden flame patterns, its flowers vaguely resembling cabbage and emitting intense heat. Eight-angled black ice herb, fiery apricot, Gu Han murmured, a flicker of excitement in his eyes. He considered these two to be the most valuable of all the immortal herbs growing around the Yin-Yang. They could be taken together, boosting his soul power and allowing him to jump into the Yin-Yang of ice and fire for a session of ice and fire body tempering, strengthening his physical form and granting him immunity to ice and fire attacks below the extreme level. Besides the eight-angled mysterious ice herb and the fiery apricot, Gu Han spotted many other immortal herbs. He recognized Qilua tulip, Qilua Yoxiang xianpin, coxcomb phoenix sunflower, and acacia heartbreak, all of which had appeared in Douluo. Then there was the earth dragon golden gourd, black jade bamboo, Hunyuan immortal grass, and others that had shown up in Do Air and Do San. He also recognized some immortal herbs, not found in the novel, but recorded in the Immortal Herb Atlas. Passed down by Yu Guan's family, holy light firefly lily, starlight orchid, dark night epiphyllum, and more. What a jackpot. He was stunned by the sheer number of herbs. He took a few deep breaths and quickly regained his composure. Finding so many immortal herbs around the Yin-Yang was a huge win, but they weren't limitless. He needed to figure out how to maximize their effects. In a flash, an idea struck him. He could develop the art of alchemy on Douluo Continent. Alchemy was the way to refine elixirs, and in fantasy novels, elixirs were the best way to utilize medicinal ingredients, amplifying their effects exponentially. Elixirs hadn't yet been developed in Douluo Continent. They wouldn't appear until Douluo, with the emergence of Xianshui Dan, but even then, the variety was limited. However, as a transmigrator with cheats, Gu Han didn't need to spend years on research. He could use the deduction and analysis functions of the Tianyan system. By analyzing the properties of the local herbs and cross-referencing that with all the pharmacy and herbal books he'd read, he could create an elixir scripture. That would be the best way to use the immortal herbs from the Yin-Yang of ice and fire. But there was just so much to process. Besides, this foggy valley was teeming with medicinal herbs of all kinds, although they weren't as potent as the exotic and spiritual medicines around the Yin-Yang. Analyzing all the data to create his alchemy scripture would take time. After considering his options, Gu Han decided to start by refining a detoxification pill to deal with the green phosphorus poison first. Young master, do you recognize these strange herbs? Douluo Bo asked, noticing that Gu Han's eyes had lingered on the eight-angled black ice herb, the fiery apricot, and other unusual plants. Of course, Gu Han replied with a smile. These are treasures. Let's start by refining the detoxification pill. Gu Han pulled out a pill furnace from his storage soul guide. Then, he attached iron chains to the furnace, anchoring them to the cliffs on either side of the Yin-Yang. This suspended the furnace directly above the scorching Yang spring. Almost immediately, waves of heat rose, turning the furnace red and emitting a faint glow. Once the furnace was hot enough, Gu Han began the refining process, using his soul power to carefully guide the medicinal ingredients into the furnace one by one. Cinnabar lotus, golden silk and silver lotus, jade flower forsythia, scrophularia, white jade poria. He murmured, focusing his mental energy to monitor the temperature and control the ingredients. He carefully melted each plant into liquid, then guided them to merge in the correct order. However, it being his first time, the last step, fusing all the medicinal liquids into the prototype of the detoxification elixir, ended in failure. Gu Han wasn't surprised. He had expected it. It was his first attempt. After all, he had purchased enough ingredients to make hundreds of detoxification pills. So he could afford a few failures. Besides, with his talent, he wouldn't need dozens of tries. After only 2 failed attempts, Gu Han successfully refined a batch of detoxifying pills on his third try, 6 in total. Senior Douluo, let's see how these work. Satisfied with the result, Gu Han used his soul power to remove the 6 pills from the furnace and handed them to Douluo Bo. Douluo Bo accepted the pills with trembling hands, his face a mixture of anxiety and hope. He swallowed one whole, almost immediately. He could feel the detoxification pill taking effect. It was already neutralizing roughly 1/10 of the biphosphorus poison in his system. This excited him beyond measure. The pill could actually combat the biphosphorus poison that plagued his family. Young master, no. My lord. Please accept Douluo's gratitude. Realizing that Gu Han's pill could truly cure the poison and that his son might finally be saved, Douluo was overcome with emotion. He immediately kept his promise, dropping to one knee before Gu Han. Chapter 84, Deducing the Alchemy Scripture, the Dragon Corpse Under the Yin-Yang Eyes of Ice and Fur. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Rise and shine, Senior Douluo. Seeing Douluo keep his word and pledge allegiance right after the detox pill worked, Gu Han smiled and helped him up. Truthfully, Douluo wasn't the strongest soul master at his level, but in large-scale battles, against lower-level soul masters and regular soldiers, Douluo's poison was a real game-changer. Gu Han never forgot his sister Xue'er's dream, to unify the continent, become the first queen of Douluo, bring peace, and improve the lives of ordinary people. Unifying the continent meant war, and Douluo would be a major asset in a war. That's why Gu Han went through so much trouble to win him over. Otherwise, with Ziji at his side, Gu Han could have just snatched the Yin-Yang Eyes of Ice and Fire. If Douluo resisted, he could have been eliminated. But Gu Han, like Qianrenxue, valued talent. After making enough detox pills to cure Douluo's green phosphorus poison, Gu Han made a few more batches and asked Douluo to take them back to Douluo Xian and Douluo Yen. You're not coming back, master. Douluo was surprised that Gu Han planned to stay at the Yin-Yang Eyes of Ice and Fire. Not yet. I'm really interested in all the spiritual medicines and fairy herbs in your garden. I want to use them to develop some new pills. With the power of fairy herbs, some pills might even evolve people's martial souls. If I come up with a pill that can evolve your green phosphorus snake martial soul, I'll make a batch for you too. Gu Han shook his head, smiling. Martial soul evolution. Master, are these fairy herbs really that powerful? Douluo was excited and a little skeptical. You'll see for yourself when the time comes. After Douluo left, Gu Han and Ziji strolled through the Yin-Yang Eye of Ice and Fire. He touched the herbs, spiritual medicines, and fairy herbs, collecting data on them using the Tianyan system's analysis function. It took over an hour. Gu Han had finally gathered data on the plants growing around the Yin-Yang Eye of Ice and Fire. However, he realized he couldn't use the 8-angled black ice grass and the fiery apricot to make pills. It wasn't because he couldn't touch them or gather data, it was because the 8-angled black ice grass was extremely cold, and the fiery apricot was extremely hot. If he activated the Tyrannosaurus Rex boxing gloves, he could touch them, but the alchemy furnace he bought in Tiando Imperial City was made of regular black iron. The properties of the plants were too extreme, and Gu Han couldn't channel his soul power long enough. If he put them in the furnace, they'd either freeze or melt it, so Gu Han might have to consume these two fairy herbs himself. System, I want to use the deduction function to create an alchemy guide using these herbs and spiritual medicines to make elixirs. How many Tianyan points will that cost? After analyzing the data, Gu Han contacted the system in his mind. Ding. 1 Tianyan point required. Begin deduction. The system's cold mechanical voice replied. Only 1 Tianyan point. For something like this involving knowledge? Or is it because the guide I want is limited to using the plants around the Yin-Yang Eye of Ice and Fire? Gu Han wondered, but the deduction progress bar was moving slowly. Gu Han estimated it would take over an hour to finish. That was much longer than deducing skills and martial arts. Since it was going to take a while, Gu Han decided to use the 8-angled black ice grass and the fiery apricot for some ice and fire body refining. He told Ziji to wait. Then, Gu Han walked towards the plants and used a jade knife he had brought to quickly cut off their stems, putting them in a jade box. After that, he divided them into thirds. Gu Han walked to the side of the Yin-Yang Eye of Ice and Fire, and used his soul power to grab one of each plant, stuffing them in his mouth. As soon as they hit his stomach, Gu Han felt a sharp mix of cold and heat, like lava surging through him. His body pulsed with ice blue and fiery red light. One moment he felt like he was in an icy cave. the next like he was in molten magma. After eating the plants, Guhan took off his clothes and jumped into the Yin-Yang eye of ice and fire. Zg blushed and scoffed. On the other side, after Guhan jumped in, the endless fire and ice spirits of the Yin-Yang eye of ice and fire rushed into his body. They neutralized the effects of the plants, tempering his body while turning into pure spirit to nourish him, but at the same time, deep within the Yin-Yang eye of ice and fire, the entire structure was shaped like a flask. The top was a narrow bottleneck, the bottom, deep underground, was a huge cave filled with scorching Yangchuan and freezing ice springs. In this cave, there were two massive dragon corpses, as big as hills. One was covered in ice-blue scales, with broad dragon wings and a majestic head. Even in death, it radiated nobility and power. The other was covered in red scales with golden flame patterns. It had broad wings, a thick neck, a ferocious head, and thick, backward-curving horns, radiating power and oppression. These were the corpses of the Ice and Fire Dragon Kings, who had created the Yin-Yang Eye of Ice and Fire and were, in essence, its source. Chapter 85 Gift from the Remnant Soul of the Ice and Fire Dragon King. You are listening at novelfull.audio. However, even though he fell into the Yin-Yang Eye of Ice and Fire, the Ice and Fire Dragon King, one of the two strongest dragons, second only to the Dragon God, and a beast with the power of a first-level god, still had a trace of its soul remaining. When Guhan jumped into the Yin-Yang Eye of Ice and Fire to refine his body with ice and fire, the residual soul of the Ice and Fire Dragon King sensed the holy dragon within him had evolved into a golden dragon. The Tianyan system's optimization function had turned the holy dragon into a golden dragon. This wasn't just any golden dragon. Thanks to the optimization function, it was a golden dragon with the purest and most perfect bloodline, the Golden Dragon King. This is the aura of a golden dragon, a very pure one, the Ice Dragon King murmured. Deep beneath the Yin-Yang Eye of Ice and Fire, in a cavern filled with icy blue and red springs, like hills, the two halves of the Ice and Fire Dragon King's body glowed with intense light. Two illusory remnants of their souls emerged. The Ice Dragon King raised its slender neck, its ice-blue eyes scanning upwards, muttering, "Yes, I sensed a golden dragon above, too." Beside it, the Fire Dragon King's remnant soul looked up, its red eyes filled with mixed emotions. "I can't believe a golden dragon has been born again. Last time we were awake, there were hardly any real dragons left on the continent. The great battle in the god realm must have been devastating for our kind. The gods must have targeted us after their victory." The Ice Dragon King's remnant soul sighed. "We've finally found a golden dragon king, but its aura is weak. Perhaps we should help it. Golden dragons and elemental silver dragons are direct descendants of the Father God. If we could gather the bloodline essence of all 9 dragon kings and their descendants, we might have a chance to evolve into the Father God ourselves. Our dragon clan is diminished. We need a leader like the Father God to restore our greatness." As residual souls, they couldn't last much longer. They had been slumbering within their corpses for millennia. At most, they had 10,000 years left before fading away completely. Passing their bloodline essence to a golden dragon and giving it a chance to become a dragon god was a far better fate than simply vanishing into nothingness. "Agreed," the Fire Dragon King's remnant soul readily replied. It was exactly what it was thinking. Having decided, the Ice and Fire Dragon King's remnants activated their remaining power to extract their bloodline essence. A ball of icy blue and red light, like condensed blood and energy, appeared under their control. It split into 2 streams, shooting towards the surface, towards the Yin-Yang Eye of Ice and Fire. Above, Guhan's body was immersed in the pool. The energies of ice and fire surged into him, neutralizing the 8-angled mysterious ice grass and fiery apricot, transforming them into pure energy. The former tempered his body, while the latter nourished it, making him stronger. Suddenly, a ball of icy blue and fiery red light shot up from below, disappearing into Guhan's body. Zg, sitting nearby, sensed something and stood up, looking towards the Yin-Yang Eye with shock on her face. Such an ancient, powerful aura. The essence of pure-blooded ice and fire dragons. But aren't they extinct? The essence flowed through Guhan, and dazzling golden light erupted, illuminating the misty surroundings. The majestic dragon roar echoed as a martial soul, a holy dragon covered in golden scales, over 50 feet long and 15 feet tall, with wide golden wings and a powerful tail, was involuntarily summoned. 2 dazzling lights, one icy blue and one fiery red, pulsed within the dragon. Like tiny suns, energy flowed from the lights, coating the golden scales with blue and red lines. Information flooded the martial soul's mind, how a golden dragon could evolve into a dragon god. Besides the system's prompts to find the elemental silver dragon's origin or the dragon god's origin, there was another way, obtaining bloodline essence from the 9 dragon kings or their descendants. This could be fused into the elemental silver dragon's martial soul, completing its evolution into a dragon god. Although the ice and fire dragon king had been dead for ages, their essence, though diminished, held enough power to greatly increase the martial soul's size, originally about 40 feet long. The holy dragon now stretched over 150 feet and stood 15 feet tall. Its wings spread wide, darkening the valley, bathed in icy blue and fiery red light. It looked incredibly powerful. As the martial soul of the ice and fire dragon king fused, some of the absorbed energy flowed back into Gu Han's body, enhancing his cultivation and physical strength. Dazzling light bloomed around him. Finally, with the bloodline fully integrated and the herbs fully refined, Gu Han slowly opened his eyes in the ice and fire Yin-Yang eye. Chapter 86, The Transformation of the Holy Dragon, the Field of Ice and Fire. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After slowly opening his eyes, Gu Han looked surprised. He'd originally planned to refine his body with ice and fire using the 8-angled mysterious ice grass and the fiery apricot. This was meant to improve his physique and grant him immunity to ice and fire. He knew that truly elevating his physical strength from a Soul King level to a Soul Emperor level required him to practice the Holy Dragon Body Refining Method, absorbing the life energy of metals to fortify his body and improve his blood. But that would take a lot of time. Unexpectedly, while refining his body with ice and fire in the Yin-Yang eyes, a surge of potent ice, fire, and life energy flooded his body, strengthening and transforming him. Thanks to this life force, he could feel a significant improvement in his physical capabilities. Before, his physical strength was only on par with a Soul King without a martial soul. Now, it was probably comparable to a Soul Emperor, or even a Soul Saint without a martial soul. Furthermore, with the infusion of high-level ice and fire energy, Gu Han felt he might have achieved complete immunity to ice and fire. It wasn't just the immunity to ice and fire energy attacks weaker than the extremes that he'd expected from the herbs. Gu Han felt he could now withstand even the most extreme ice and fire attacks. He knew why this was happening. Looking up, he saw his holy dragon martial soul had grown immensely. The once purely golden dragon was now radiating dazzling ice blue and red light, simultaneously emitting freezing cold and scorching heat. He also received information about evolving into a dragon god, transmitted from the ice and fire dragon king's residual soul through the bloodline to the holy dragon. As a soul master, Gu Han understood this. The changes in his holy dragon and his own body were likely due to the fallen ice and fire dragon king deep beneath the Yin-Yang eye. The dragon king wasn't completely gone. A trace of its soul remained. It seemed the dragon king's residual soul had just transferred the origin of its fallen dragon bloodline to his holy dragon martial soul. What a lucky break. Gu Han smiled. The 8-angled black ice grass and the fiery apricot were almost fully refined within his body. Normally, he couldn't have stayed in the Yin-Yang eyes after that, but because the holy dragon had channeled a portion of the dragon king's bloodline to him, Gu Han now possessed ultimate immunity to ice and fire. Being in the Yin-Yang eyes now felt like relaxing in a hot spring. The holy dragon, after receiving the ice and fire dragon king's bloodline boost, had not only grown larger but also gained the ice and fire dragon king's powers. Its bloodline seemed to have advanced significantly towards becoming a divine beast, and the dragon's presence it exuded was even more imposing. ZG, her beautiful face usually cold, looked at him with shock and disbelief in her deep purple eyes. What just happened? Why does the holy dragon now emanate the essence of pure-blooded ice and fire dragons? Why is it so huge, and its dragon might so much stronger? She murmured, completely incredulous. Gu Han leaped out of the Yin-Yang eyes. After quickly getting dressed, he saw the holy dragon martial soul had fully merged with the dragon king's bloodline. The ice and fire energy gradually receded, the blue and red lights faded, and it reverted to a golden dragon. However, unlike before, the golden scales now featured ice blue and red lines. exuding the essence of a pure-blooded ice and fire dragon. What happened? Gu Han chuckled at ZG's stunned expression. As he recalled the holy dragon into his body, he explained with a touch of wonder, honestly, I was surprised too. The reason this place is so unique is that your dragon clan's ice and fire dragon king lies dormant deep beneath this mountain. Just now, they sensed the golden dragon aura of my holy dragon. For the future of your dragon clan, they chose to sacrifice themselves and pass on their bloodline to the holy dragon. What? The ice and fire dragon king? The legendary first ice and fire dragon king of our clan, ZG asked, shocked. Yes, Gu Han confirmed. This, ZG was stunned and saddened. She never knew that the ice and fire dragon king, one of the 9 great dragon kings, had perished here, unknown to the rest of the clan, and the dragon king hadn't recognized the golden dragon for what it really was, a human martial spirit, but she thought of Gu Han as anything but an outsider now. He had earned the trust of both her and her master. In the future, he would be able to help her master heal the injuries that had persisted for hundreds of thousands of years. The Dragon King had passed on their bloodline to Gu Han's holy dragon martial soul. This would improve Gu Han's strength and the quality of the holy dragon martial soul. It might even help Gu Han reach the title Douluo level faster, enabling him to aid her master in healing and returning to peak condition as quickly as possible. So ZG decided the Dragon King's residual soul should not have refrained from passing the bloodline to Gu Han's martial soul, the Holy Dragon. After telling ZG about the Ice and Fire Dragon King, Gu Han noticed that the Tianyan system had deduced the Danjing, pill classic. However, the current Danjing was more accurately described as version 1.0. Danjing 1.0 detailed the medicinal ingredients and refining methods needed to create pills using various immortal and spiritual herbs as primary ingredients, excluding the 8-angled mysterious ice grass and the fiery apricot. It also explained the effects of the resulting pills. Pills made with these immortal and spiritual herbs would generally enhance the inherent properties of those herbs. Furthermore, some formulas allowed multiple pills to be created from a single set of immortal and spiritual ingredients. That was great. Before, he hadn't been able to refine pills with the 8-angled mysterious ice grass and the fiery apricot due to their extreme ice and fire properties. The quality of his soul power and pill furnace wasn't high enough, but now, after the Holy Dragon merged with the Ice and Fire Dragon King's bloodline, the ice and fire power fed back into him had transformed his body. Gu Han's soul power and body now possessed immunity to extreme ice and fire, even with a subpar pill furnace. The Holy Dragon, after integrating the Dragon King's bloodline, could now exhale fire beyond the extreme and icy breath beyond the extreme cold. Gu Han could now make pills by having the Holy Dragon breathe dragon fire, using it as a furnace, and enveloping the herbs with soul power. However, he didn't plan to spend Tianyan points on developing formulas specifically for the 8-angled mysterious ice grass and the fiery apricot just yet. After integrating the Dragon King's essence, the Holy Dragon not only grew in size but also gained ice and fire powers beyond the extreme. In addition to this, Gu Han discovered, the Holy Dragon had also gained 2 talent domains, ice and fire. Fire domain, ice domain. Chapter 87 Return to the Great Star Forest, 10,000 Dragons Gather. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ice and Fire Domain. Standing beside the Yin-Yang eye, Gu Han focused his thoughts, unleashing both the ice domain and the fire domain. Instantly, a vibrant, dual-toned light, ice blue and scarlet, exploded from him, engulfing the surrounding 100 meters. The domain pulsed with these contrasting colors. Gu Han discovered that each domain possessed 2 distinct soul skills. Both the ice and fire domains could suppress enemy strength while simultaneously amplifying his own. This suppression doubled against enemies with corresponding elemental affinities. However, their second soul skills diverged. He christened the fire domain's second skill Burning Aura. Within the fire domain, all enemies would be subjected to an intensely fiery energy, far exceeding normal heat. This energy would relentlessly burn, interfering with their soul power. Eventually, the accumulated fiery force would ignite them. Similarly, he named the ice domain's second skill Frozen Aura. Within its icy expanse, enemies would face extreme cold, suffering from freezing, frostbite, and potential total immobilization. Gu Han quickly realized that using the two domains simultaneously yielded far greater power than using them individually. He began experimenting with the combined ice and fire domain, resulting in a devastating technique he termed Ice and Fire Storm. After thoroughly testing his new abilities, Gu Han retracted the ice and fire domain, satisfied. He then turned his gaze back to the abundant array of fairy herbs and spiritual medicines thriving around the Yin-Yang eye. Just you wait, he thought. Once I've leveled up, I'm coming back to turn you all into pills. A glint of determination flashed in his eyes. He planned to take ZG to the Star Do Great Forest to hunt for his fifth soul ring, breaking through to the Soul King realm. Afterward, he would return to the Yin-Yang eye and refine the surrounding plants. ZG, let's head back to the Star Do Great Forest. He summoned the Holy Dragon. Gu Han grinned as he watched the Holy Dragon swell to an immense size, its golden wings spreading out like a celestial canopy. After inviting ZG to mount the dragon, he transformed into a dragon knight and directed the Holy Dragon to soar into the sky, bound for the Star Do Great Forest. When the Holy Dragon first emerged in Wuhuan City, it was about the size of an elephant, excluding its wings and tail. Back then, riding it was much like riding a horse, rather mundane, but now, after absorbing the blood of the Ice and Fire Dragon Kings, the Holy Dragon stretched over 30 meters long and stood over 5 meters tall. Its golden wings blotted out the sun. Now this was a proper dragon knight. Riding the dragon, they quickly arrived at their destination, the site of the Holy Dragon, massive, gold-shimmering, with colossal wings, a sleek tail, and patterns of red and ice blue, descending upon the Shingdo Great Forest filled the surrounding area with immense dragon power and the mingled essence of a gold dragon and a pure-blooded ice and fire dragon. Below, countless soul beasts, especially those with draconic blood, bowed in reverence, thanks to ZG's presence, finding suitable soul beasts became easy. He simply asked ZG to gather all dragon soul beasts in the Shingdo Great Forest that were over 10,000 years old. Understood, ZG replied. Her beautiful, icy face softened, and her deep purple eyes reflected her dedication. Gu Han's mission was directly tied to Gu Yuna's recovery, which was paramount to their dragon clan. As a dragon, her master's well-being outweighed everything. If Gu Han needed it, even she would do anything to fulfill his request. And as for the other dragons, they would be honored to sacrifice themselves for their master. ZG spread her black and purple wings and erupted in a blinding purple light, reverting to her true form as the Hell Dragon. She became an imposing dark purple dragon, over 50 meters long and 10 meters tall. Her broad wings beat powerfully, and her thick tail lashed back and forth. The dragon's head was intimidating, showing no trace of ZG's former beauty. Roar! The Hell Dragon unleashed a deafening roar, laced with soul power and dragon might, that echoed through the forest. In the inner depths of the Star Do Great Forest, various dragon soul beasts with dragon blood stirred and raced towards the sound. Soon, Gu Han stood atop the Holy Dragon, watching as massive dragon soul beasts, all over 10,000 years old, approached. The Golden Armor Divine Sword Dragon, the Fire Hell Bull Dragon, the Angry Thunder King Dragon, the Golden Scaled Crocodile Dragon. They came rushing from every direction, their combined weight shook the ground. The immense dragon pressure scattered all other soul beasts. Tens of thousands of powerful dragon soul beasts converged from all corners of the forest. They were shocked by the Holy Dragon's aura. They couldn't believe their clan had birthed such a mighty dragon king. But why was there a human riding it? They were confused, but after looking at the Holy Dragon and Gu Han, these dragon soul beasts turned their gaze to ZG. They knelt respectfully, pledging their allegiance. ZG, in her Hell Dragon form, roared back, communicating in dragon language. Gu Han couldn't understand the dragon language, but he guessed that ZG was introducing him, highlighting his importance to the dragon clan and encouraging the soul beasts to sacrifice themselves for him. Gu Han scanned the crowd of magnificent beasts, contemplating which dragon soul beast to choose. Chapter 88 Colorful Crystal Dragon, New External Soul Bone. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Choosing a dragon soul beast with over 10,000 years of cultivation for my fifth soul ring from a pool of thousands, it's both a pain and a shortcut. The pain comes from having to look at each one, which takes forever, but if I figure out what kind of soul skill I need for the fifth ring beforehand, then find a dragon that matches, it'll be way easier. So, what kind of soul skill do I need? Gu Han, perched on his holy dragon martial soul, scanned the massive dragon's soul beasts, deep in thought. Right now, I've got defensive skills, skills that boost my physique and make me tough, and area of effect control skills, pretty well rounded. For my 5th soul ring, I could go for more physique buffs, or something that amps up my speed and attack power. Honestly, being a transmigrator, I know that once you level up, weaker attack skills, especially elemental ones, aren't that effective. The ones that really matter, the game changers, are usually the skills from the 7th ring and up, the ones pushing 100,000 years, or even hitting that mark. For these lower level skills to stay useful as you get stronger, you gotta go with amplification, whether it's boosting defense, speed, strength, attack power, or even soul power itself. And hunting for soul rings isn't the same for me as it is for regular soul masters. Maybe it's because of the holy dragon's unique nature. Since it had the bloodline of the pure-blooded golden holy dragon, and all the soul beasts I've hunted have been dragons, I've managed to snag an external soul bone after a few hunts. Before, the holy dragon only had the golden holy dragon blood. Now that it's evolved into a gold dragon, and with ZG's help in convincing me, I don't even have to hunt anymore. I can just have the soul beasts sacrifice themselves directly. That's gotta make getting an external soul bone even easier. Taking the soul bone factor into account, and thinking about what I need, I finally settled on a 7-colored crystal dragon with 50,000 years of cultivation. This thing is huge, over 20 meters long and 3 meters tall. Wings on its back, long, slender tail. Its scales are like pure crystal, shimmering with every color imaginable. Seriously beautiful. Of course, they're not actual crystals, but their structure is similar, and they're super hard and can store energy. That makes the 7-colored crystal dragon a powerhouse among its peers. Because it can store energy in those crystal scales, it can use its powerful soul skills more freely than other dragons, and even unleash a massive burst of energy stored in its scales for extra punch. Plus, it's got amazing defense. Overall, it's seriously strong. If I pick this 7-colored crystal dragon and have it sacrifice itself for my 5th ring, there's a good chance I'll get an explosive soul skill that amps up my soul power, and the sacrifice could also get me an external soul bone. Given the crystal dragon's abilities, that soul bone would probably be able to store soul power, which would be insanely useful. Master, have you chosen the dragon for the sacrifice? After talking to the dragon's soul beasts with over 10,000 years of cultivation, ZG shifted back into her human form and landed on the holy dragon. Her gorgeous face was as cool as ever, her purple eyes fixed on Gu Han as she spoke. Yep, it's the 7-colored crystal dragon. Gu Han smiled, pointing to the most stunning dragon, the one with the crystal clear, rainbow shimmering scales. The other dragons, the ones over 10,000 years, couldn't hide their disappointment. Their huge, vertical pupils showed it all. Most soul beasts aren't afraid of death. Otherwise, you wouldn't see them self-destructing when captured by soul masters. Knowing that Gu Han was tied to the great master's revival, and that his martial soul was the majestic gold dragon king radiating the aura of both a golden dragon and a pure-blooded ice and fire dragon, many of them were willing to sacrifice themselves, to sacrifice for the master, to sacrifice to the noble and powerful pure-blooded dragon king. That was the ultimate honor. But now, that honor belonged to the crystal dragon. Roar! The crystal dragon, surprised to be chosen, raised its slender neck. A hint of joy flickered in its rainbow eyes as it let out an excited roar and stepped toward Gu Han. Gu Han, meanwhile, guided the holy dragon down from the sky and hopped off. As he approached Gu Han and the holy dragon, the crystal dragon roared again, loud and proud, and began its sacrifice. Its body, shimmering with crystal beauty, erupted in a blaze of 7-colored light, forming a blood-red shield around Gu Han. As the sacrifice began, the crystal dragon's body slowly rose. Countless streams of 7-colored energy flowed from the dragon's body into Gu Han, infused with its life force and soul power, strengthening his body and boosting his own soul power. As time passed, the crystal dragon's massive form began to fade, becoming almost transparent, and a dark 10,000-year soul ring materialized in the air. At the same time, a flawlessly formed crystal appeared, shaped like a dragon's head and radiating rainbow light. It didn't look like much, but this was clearly the External soul bone. The crystal dragon was leaving behind. Once the 10,000-year soul ring was complete, it flew toward Guhan and settled around him. A surge of power washed through him, pouring into his very being. Because it was a sacrifice, this soul power wasn't wild or chaotic. It was docile, blending almost instantly with his own and boosting his overall level. When the sacrifice was finally complete, the external soul bone materialized and flew into Guhan's hands. He examined the crystal dragon head. It was a little large. Where to fuse it? After a moment's thought, he decided on his chest. It could have been the forehead, but this bone was likely for storing soul power, not some kind of mental enhancement. Putting it on his head felt too risky. Having accepted the 10,000-year soul ring and the external soul bone, Guhan immediately tested his new fifth soul skill and the bone itself. Just as he'd hoped, the crystal dragon's skill amplified his soul power. As a soul king, activating the skill boosted him by almost 6 levels. He decided to call it, Golden Dragon Crystal Burst. And the external soul bone. Its skill was to store soul power, holding almost his entire reserve. He named it, Fantasy Crystal. Chapter 89, Long Yen makes the elixir. ZG is moved. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This kid's leveling up like crazy. He's been gone less than a month and already hit Soul King. Unreal. Deep in the Star Do Great Forest, Guhan stood surrounded by thousands of dragons, accepting the colorful crystal dragon's sacrifice. Hidden at the bottom of the Lake of Life, Guyuna, in her silver dragon king form, lounged in a secret palace, lazily flicking her slender dragon tail as a space mirror materialized before her. The massive mirror showed Guhan's surroundings. Guyuna propped her exquisite dragon head on a claw, watching Guhan with amusement in her gemstone purple eyes. Muttering to herself. If he keeps powering up this fast, hitting a higher realm every month, could I actually heal within a year? That she chuckled, a sweet, melodious sound. Truth be told, she knew Guhan's rapid breakthrough to Soul King wasn't exactly standard practice. More likely, it was due to some lucky breaks. Still, it gave her hope. Little Guyuna, meanwhile, back in the Star Do Great Forest, after the 7-colored crystal dragon sacrifice, the tens of thousands of powerful dragon soul beasts CG had summoned, all with over 10,000 years of cultivation, respectfully dispersed, returning to their territories. Having successfully gained his 5th soul ring and an external soul bone, Guhan had accomplished his mission in the Star Do Great Forest. He summoned his holy dragon spirit again, grabbed ZG, and took to the sky. Perched on the holy dragon's back, he guided the massive golden wings, soaring toward their next destination, Sunset Forest, specifically, the Yin-Yang Eyes of Ice and Fire. Once again a dragon rider atop the massive holy dragon, Guhan and ZG rapidly crossed the miles, returning to the familiar valley. Hazy white mist still clung to the air around the Yin-Yang Eyes of Ice and Fire, illuminated by the eerie blue and red light. 2 steep rock peaks flanked the site. One held a cave, Dugubo's longtime residence when training at the Yin-Yang Eyes of Ice and Fire. It was the same cave where, in the story, Dugubo had tossed Tang San. Back at their destination, Guhan and ZG gazed down at the Yin-Yang Eyes of Ice and Fire, an unmistakable ice and fire Yin-Yang symbol, then hopped off the holy dragon, landing on one of the rocky peaks. Even though Guhan had seen it before, the breathtaking view still filled him with awe at nature's wonders. Alright, back to business. He scanned the immortal herbs, spiritual medicines, and rare ingredients surrounding the Yin-Yang Eyes of Ice and Fire, a competitive riot of colors. A grin spread across his face as he rubbed his hands together. Then, Guhan descended into the valley, consulting the Dan Jing, refined by the Tianyan system. He located the specific ingredients needed to brew elixirs using the immortal herbs as a base. He carefully harvested every immortal herb, spiritual medicine, and rare ingredient he could find, storing them in his soul guide. With the harvest complete, Guhan retrieved the alchemy furnace he'd purchased in Tiendo Imperial City. At his command, the holy dragon folded its massive golden wings and gently descended, landing in a specially cleared area. Making pills again, ZG followed, a hint of curiosity flickering in her deep purple eyes. Yep, Guhan nodded, using his soul power to open the furnace lid. He then pulled out a golden melon, about the size of his palm and etched with dragon patterns. This was the Earth Dragon Melon, an immortal herb with the power to reverse the Earth Dragon. It had two key benefits: enhancing the user's control over Earth-based powers and purifying the user's or their spirit's dragon blood. Guhan was after the latter. He extracted the Earth Dragon Melon, then gathered the ingredients known to amplify its blood-purifying effect. Holding them with soul power, he levitated them over the furnace. That's right. Guhan wasn't putting the Earth Dragon Melon and other ingredients inside the furnace. Since the Holy Dragon had inherited the ability to spew ultra-intense flames from the Ice and Fire Dragon King's blood source, Guhan planned to use the Holy Dragon's fire to refine the elixir. It was more effective than using the naturally intense heat from the Yin-Yang eyes of Ice and Fire's Yang spring. The furnace was just there as a backup, in case something went wrong, and the dragon flame purified. Liquid fell. Holy Dragon. At Guhan's command, the spirit opened its bloody maw and unleashed a torrent of red dragon fire, engulfing the Earth Dragon Melon and the other ingredients. Under the intense heat, the melon and herbs rapidly melted into a collection of colorful liquids. Guhan focused intently, carefully merging the different liquids into a single solution. Soon, only a pool of dark golden liquid remained above the furnace. The Holy Dragon knew what to do. As the final stage of the refinement process began, the dragon also knew it could no longer use high flames, so it drastically lowered the heat of its dragon flame to a simmer. Under Guhan's meticulous control, the dark golden liquid continued to evaporate, shrinking until it condensed into a perfectly round, golden pill the size of a dragon's eye. Yes, Guhan was thrilled to see that the pill was a success. As the Holy Dragon ceased its fiery breath, Guhan reached out and caught the newly created Xinglong pill, an elixir designed to purify dragon blood. ZG, this is for you. He turned with a smile, offering the pill to her. For me? ZG was stunned, disbelief still lingering on her beautiful face. Could soul beasts even use this kind of pill? It's a Xinglong pill. The Earth Dragon Melon is great at purifying dragon blood, so I combined it with other ingredients to enhance that effect. Take this, and the Hell Dragon blood within you will get even stronger, plus it should accelerate your cultivation by thousands of years. Guhan explained the pill's benefits. ZG's deep purple eyes grew intensely complicated. She couldn't help feeling deeply touched. He really cares. He made his first pill just for me. Chapter 90 Deep Blue. Oh no. System, deduce for me. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Thank you, Master. ZG was deeply touched that Guhan's first pill was for her. Her cool, captivating face and deep purple eyes welled up with emotion. She stepped forward, embraced him tightly, and said in a soft, trembling voice, Guhan had previously created antidote pills for Douluo, but those were specifically for his biphosphorus poison. This time, Guhan made the deliberate choice to create this elixir for her. This showed her that in his heart, she, ZG, was important to him. She was moved by his care. Even as a soul beast, he cared so much. What did it matter if he was human? ZG felt a sense of peace. Since she had laid her first egg in his presence, she hoped to lay her first egg with him in the future. All right. ZG, let's see how this Xinglong pill works. Guhan said, feeling the softness and warmth of her embrace. He realized he'd done something right this time and smiled. ZG took the pill. Her cultivation level immediately skyrocketed, improving by a full 30,000 years. The purity of her dragon blood greatly improved, and she even gained earth attributes. Before, ZG was a regular hell demon dragon. Her bloodline wasn't perfect. Her cultivation was the reason she led the hell demon dragon clan, but after the Xinglong pill, her bloodline sublimated, transforming her into the Hell Demon Dragon King. A Hell Demon Dragon bone crown sprouted from her head. It symbolized the Dragon King, something only those with the purest dragon blood could possess. ZG was overwhelmed with gratitude. Guhan continued to refine pills using other immortal herbs and elixirs he got at the Ice and Fire Eyes. He made the Holy Spirit pill from the Holy Light Flowing Firefly Lily, the Tongtian pill from the Strange Velvet Babel Chrysanthemum, and the Yayo pill from the Dark Night Epiphyllum, among others. I told Uncle Ju and Uncle Gui that I was lucky. I promised to bring back any fairy grass that could help their martial souls evolve, so they could advance. I can't bring back the exact grass, but I have even better elixirs. When I go back, I'll give them a surprise. After refining all the immortal grass into elixirs, Gu Han took out 2 small jade bottles containing the Tongtian Dan and Yao Dan. He rubbed them in his hands and smiled, thinking to himself, even though he had the Tongtian Dan and Yao Dan, which could boost Ju Douluo Yueguan and Ghost Douluo Ghost's cultivation and strength, he didn't plan to return to Wuhuan City yet. If he did, ZG couldn't come with him, and if he went alone, he wasn't confident he could survive against the tidal Douluos. Gu Han didn't know if Bibi Dong had found Yu Xiaojiang. If she had, he'd be in trouble if he went back. It was better to stay in Tiando Imperial City for now, because he'd shaken off the people Bibi Dong sent to follow him. She had no idea where he was. Even if she found Yu Xiaojiang and wanted to get revenge, she wouldn't know where to find him. The elixirs would be fine in the small jade bottle stored in his soul guide. He should wait until his cultivation was high enough to escape from any strong opponent, then he would return to Wuhuan City and see Hu Laina, Uncle Ju Yueguan, and Uncle Guemei. Gu Han thought to himself. Now that all the immortal grass was refined into elixirs, he was ready to take ZG and leave the ice and fire eyes. Returning to Tiando Imperial City, he should have stayed at the ice and fire eyes for about half a month or even a month. He was supposed to take the star anise ice grass and fiery apricot jiao shu and train his body in the extreme conditions of the ice and fire liangi. However, because of the ice and fire dragon king's remnant soul and bloodline, which had been passed down to his martial spirit holy dragon, his physical fitness skyrocketed. It also gave him immunity to extreme ice and fire energy attacks. Ice and fire body refining was useless against him now, so he collected the remaining star anise ice grass and Liehua Xingjiashu and prepared to leave, but the night before departure, after the refining was complete, he realized that he had changed Xiao Wu's family's fate, cut off the ice and fire eyes, and made other changes to the plot, gaining 27 heavenly evolution points. After using a few to deduce the Alchemy Sutra, he had 26 left. While he should save some for emergencies, it was best to use them as soon as possible to increase his strength. What did he need now? His martial arts, like the Holy Dragon Spear Technique, Sun Sword Technique, Holy Dragon Fist Technique, and Body Technique Cloud Dragon 9 Illusions, were fine for now, but he should upgrade the cultivation techniques of the Holy Dragon Technique, the Meditation Technique Golden Holy Dragon Meditation Technique, and the Body Refining Technique Holy Dragon Body Refining Technique. This would speed up his cultivation and increase his strength. He also wanted to learn a pupil technique and a mental attack method. Why the pupil technique? Because that little brat who was about to become a soul master had the pupil technique. Purple Extreme Demon Pupil. How could he, the future husband of the Silver Dragon King Gu Yuna, the Dragon King's son-in-law, not have a pupil technique? That would be embarrassing. Wouldn't the eye-brightening spirit liquid he refined with the longing for the autumn water do be wasted? As for the mental attack method, now that he had a perfect soul and spiritual power, he should use it. System: how many Tianyan points would it take to deduce and improve the Holy Dragon Kung Fu, the Golden Holy Dragon Meditation Method, and the Holy Dragon Body Forging Method, upgrading them to a more advanced level? That night, Gu Han sat on a luxurious wooden chair in a cave on a rock peak next to the Yin-Yang Eye of Ice and Fire, enjoying ZG's massage as he asked. Ding! Each method requires 3 Tianyan points to deduce and upgrade. The system's cold, mechanical voice responded in his mind. That's only 9 Tianyan points total, not much. Thinking of the 26 Tianyan points in his hand, Guam Han smiled faintly and lazily leaned his head back against ZG's surging peaks. System, deduce for me. System.